Welcome to another Baka commentary. In this video will be my analysis / impression on the upcoming RTX 5060 and the 5060 Ti. And as always, AMD has my analysis on the already announced RX 9600 and the 9600 XT. So, with the discrete entry-level graphics card, the high-end, low-end, majority of it, yes, Intel is a thing, but sadly they're not really a threat. And as proven the last two generations, Intel is not a threat in even the low end, where Intel actually has a product, aka the B580, that is not a threat at all with the Intel with the low end and entry level discrete graphics card as one. Intel is still a hot disaster. Hence, this is why the low end, high end, low end graphics card is still dominated by NVIDIA and AMD. So, firstly, the NVIDIA GPU, the RTX 5060 Ti and the RTX 5060. Both of them will likely be all 8 GB, with the special exemption of the 5060 Ti will get the 16 GB variant, which again, just like the previous 4060 Ti, got a 8 GB version and the 16 GB variant. First off, again, the RTX 5060 8 GB, it does make sense if NVIDIA can price it right. We all know what current state of NVIDIA is. They don't care. They don't care about their graphics card being priced right, even when there is competition. So the 5060, you bet they are going to keep these stupidity prices as long as the current AI bubble is hot and keeps on going, and they have no reason to give allocation to these 5060 and to actually move these 5060s, and they rather have them just sit at really a high MSRP to basically sit on shelves, gather dust, and hopefully for some dumbass, we're like, yeah, I'm a NVIDIA fanboy, and I will go buy the RTX 5060 8GB. And as for the RTX 5060 Ti 8GB, this is literally going to be the most waste of silicon on the entire GPU lineup, even more stupider than the RX 56 RTX 5060, as this is no way for NVIDIA to properly price this as where it will be good both for performance and for what its VRAM is worth. As the 5060 Ti, it's likely going to be some really powerful graphics card that is for like 1080p, but it just simply will not have the VRAM for it, and hence you're kind of forced to go pay premium, just like the 4060 Ti. Pay your premium for the 16GB variant and call it a day, or simply go buy their competitor, which is, well, the RX 9600 or the 9600 XT. Both of these graphics card, I think I already pretty much alluded to, is going to be a 1080p low setting card for the 8GB variant, and the 5060 Ti might be a 16GB, might be able to run high textures as the ultra setting and the ultra texture. Yes, they will be able to run it, but I think the performance is going to be pretty bad and horrific, as a lot of the ultra setting, a lot of time you can't just slap VRAM and be like, here's all the texture. Maybe you'll be able to run high setting with ultra texture and that's it, as ultra setting also has some really GPU demanding things that will, as always, will require stuff like the 5090, 5080s even, will struggle on. And yeah, this is why I think the 5060 Ti is kind of in a no man's land where it's like, cool, you're still not gonna be able to go buy the 1560 16GB and crank everything to the max, as you will still have to crank stuff down when where the performance hitting for the graphics card is a bomb. Again, 50 series again has no reason to be reasonably priced and well adjusted for reality, as long as again the AI keeps on getting pumped and there is no sign of it being dropped off the face of Earth. As well as this also kind of makes no sense as well. NVIDIA RTX Pros, if they sell the same 5060 Ti 16GB and they skin it as a RTX 5060 Ti 16 gig, whatever 8400 be like 400, they will be able to charge you more money, and they will probably be like, I'm gonna go sell it to an RTX Pro buyer or the allocation, and basically we as gamers are legit gonna get bottom barrel scraping whatever NVIDIA just go, here you go gamers, here's our worst shit, here's our, the worst of the worst stuff, here you go. Because those RTX Pro laptops and, those guys that give better margin than you DIYers and even pre-built vendors on these desktop graphics cards. As you guys are the last one in the food chain. Anyway. And now on to the other competitor, which is the AMD Radeon RX 9600 XT and the RX 9600. This, again, is likely going to copy just like the current RX 7600 and the 7600 XT. Unlike the competitor, again, they are not going to do questionable shit. RX 9600 will, yes, again, be 8GB. Again, this is going to be a great card for, again, at the right price, 1080p low setting. 9600 XT, yes, they will, as always, they are not going to have a weird 8GB model, which is literally waste of sand. They will probably have just like the 7600 XT, 16GB only. Again, if AMD is smart, again, they will cut costs in not having a clamshell design and use a higher memory capacity module, and so that the back, so so it's both cut costs safe on the AMD side and on the AIB side, as one clamshell design for the 9600 XT did really increase the price of the both for AMD side and at the AIB side, as the back PCB required cooling. But if the back and you could completely get rid of it, or just not really have a fancy looking design where it's not actually needed for cooling, I think it would be better for the RX 9600 XT if they did that. As well, again, this will, if AMD does it right, priced it right properly, and on top of AMD's now gaming features are now on par with the competitor, I think AMD adjust again, just like the 9700 XT and the RX 9700, can make NVIDIA look like stupid. And basically, also another good thing about the AMD 9600 XT and the RX 9600, we are guaranteed to have all the silicon that is made to use these graphics cards will become RX 9600 and RX 9600 XT. As AMD has no laptop discrete graphics card for the 9000 series, On top of, again, the only problem I foresee with this 9600 and 9600 XT not getting enough allocation is if the CDNA and the WX or the MI series are like, hey, we need more allocation, and the RX series simply isn't getting the allocation. I think the RX 9600 XT and the RX 9600 are the first GPU to start getting cut from the GPU range if production cannot get the allocation, but unlike, their competitor, they are not. If they do make an RX 9600 XT and the RX 9600, they cannot reskin it as a WX or MI series. Hence, this is why I think we might be actually able, if you love tuning, RX 9600 XT and the RX 9600 might be a fun, pretty good GPU to buy. As one, you're not going to be getting the bottom barrel worst yields for these graphics cards. But anyway, and as well as, again, this will be a kind of improvement to the RX 7600 and the 7600 XT, as one, these graphics cards will have the AMD AI cores to do the AMD FSR AI edition, and as well as many of those RX 9000 series in driver FSR. I believe this will bring these AI features for the lower end AMD gaming market finally. Overall, I think on the low end graphics card, hardware wise, is very, very competitive. Unfortunately, we all know the current state of the market. Nvidia dominates everything. Nvidia will get away with everything they do. And on top of, the fanboys and the normies will defend Nvidia, as they are conditioned to buy Nvidia, and no matter what, defend Nvidia to the ends of the earth. However, the smart enthusiasts, I think just have the 40 series, 50 series, and even the 30 series to a certain extent have been like, yeah, it's time for us to drop Nvidia. AMD is just as good as Nvidia in drivers and hardware. And yeah, and those enthusiasts, I hope, will move on to the AMD Radeon RX series. And that brings the end to another Baka commentary. If you like the video, do the typical like, comment, share, subscribe. It really helps me get into the algorithm, and I'll see you guys in the next video.